I'm nervous.
I'm so nervous.
Do you think they could see me?
Hi, guys.
Ba-na-na-na. Welcome back to the Art is Alive podcast. I am your host, Chris Atertua, and slowly but surely we are checking off the list of people from the Hi Hello Labs team. And my next guest today is our own photographer and social media manager, Ashley.
Yay!
Ashley, welcome to Art is Alive.
Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you for having me here.
Totally. We've been trying to lock down on a date for a while.
I know. It hasn't happened, but it happened today, and it happened when it needed to happen.
Mm-hmm. And you got the hair going. I like it.
I got the hair going. Thank you so much.
I don't have the beard going.
That's okay. You got that, like, stubble,
the little
like,
stubble.
you know?
Yeah.
It's working.
So today we're going to focus a lot. We're actually going back to subjects in art. I want to focus on photography.
Yep.
So you are a photographer. You are Team Canon or
I'm Team Canon.
Team Canon.
I'm the only Canon in this whole studio.
I know we're Sony gang out here, but
It's fine. It's fine.
how did you get started with cameras? Like, legitimately, I don't know how you got started.
Yeah.
So could you walk me through who or what introduced you to photography?
Okay. All right. It was a slow build for me. It was something I was interested in since like early middle school, like 6th grade. I remember getting my first camera for a birthday. It was this cute little pink, I don't even know what it was, to be honest. It was perfect for me to take selfies with my friends and post about MySpace. That's all I remember. And then I think maybe towards the end of my middle school era is when I would like start like taking it up as a hobby. I started walking around my neighborhood and taking terrible zoom in shots of like ducks in the pond. It was not good, but I was really interested and really passionate about it. As I grew older, I met someone who turned out to be like my mentor in like this church setting that I was a part of. And she was a photographer. So she kind of like, I don't want to say ignited, but like, you know, added to the passion that I already had and the interest that I had. And then like being next to someone so closely that was actively doing it, like she was actually being hired to do this professionally, like it was super inspiring.
Did you join her for the shoots, or did she just
Yeah, she actually, no,
Okay.
she let me come along. She knew I was super interested, so she kind of took me under her wing. She's more, even now, she's still very much an incredible photographer, but she does more so film. That's not something like, I mean, I have my film cameras. Actually, she gifted me my first one, and I haven't even developed any of the roles I've ever taken, so they're probably ruined by now. But she would let me come and second shoot, and around that same time, I have a cousin who, he lives in New York. He does his own thing, and he's an incredible photographer as well. And he saw probably via Instagram that I was getting interested in photography, and he sent me my first DSLR. It was his old one that he was like getting, you know, parting ways with or whatever. And he was like, hey, like I see that you like really.
No, it was a Canon?
It was a Canon.
Okay.
So I think that's what like naturally, like I just like was introduced to the Canon world and never stepped away from it. One, because that's like all I knew and I was comfortable with it. And two, I just wasn't like interested really like in.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We've actually had a really similar journey. I was brought up by a fella. He would take me as a second shooter, and I was gifted my first camera from my brother. Which
that is so nice. Thank you to the people who do that.
Yeah, honestly, shout out. Thanks, John. So transitioning from that, you started to take up photography as a business.
Yep.
Was there any particular moment where you started to realize, hey, I can make like a living from this? Was there any pivotal moment, or is it?
I think it was probably one of my like moments second shooting for Ashley. Her name's Ashley too, who was my mentor at the time. She brought me along. I know, kind of funny.
No, I have another photographer friend named Ashley.
Really? Okay, so she let me come, and it wasn't second shooting as in like I was providing images for her. She just was really kind to let me come along on this wedding day that she was shooting, bring my camera, and just kind of have a go and practice in like a real setting of like what that would be like. I think after that, like I was so excited to edit those photos. I was like, these are the best photos I've ever taken. And I think there I was like, wait, I can do this. I just need to practice more. I need to go on more shoots and like join people and ask other photographers that, you know, I want to learn from. And I think that was probably one of like the most pivotal moments that I can recall.
That's such a dope ass time transitioning from starting off and you're like, oh shit, I don't know anything about cameras. And then you start to gain the confidence. And then, sorry, Fort Lauderdale is calling.
Fort Lauderdale, shut up.
All of Fort Lauderdale is calling. The natural progression of you start to gain more confidence working with the camera.
Yep.
And then you start to have a repertoire of poses that you don't have to worry about anymore. It just kind of comes naturally that you can guide with the client.
Yeah.
But I think my favorite part of being a photographer is the community or the social aspect. I think that's
true.
such a dope and cathartic release for me, at least as an artist.
Yep.
And I wanted to ask, do you have a particular favorite aspect of photography?
I've always said it's the interaction with people. I have been on shoots where it's very simple, very quick, and it's like a very, like, not a lot of words are being exchanged in the sense of like we're not having a heartfelt conversation here. And then I've been in shoots where I've literally had people crying on my shoulder because they don't do photo shoots often. They need to do this. They're very insecure.
Yeah.
Like, it can go from 0 to 100 real quick, and I appreciate that. And I've always just been more of a people person, so I appreciate that aspect a lot.
One thing that I really admired about you is just how chill you are during a shoot. I really like how easily and how naturally you sound when you're communicating with the client. And every person that comes into labs, you just have this aura of you're on your shit. You have these poses ready. And everything goes smoothly, and I'm like taking notes because
thank you so much. Do you need to take a phone call?
No, I have a shoot in like an hour. And I'm like, do you have any advice for?
Like, we need to cut. I'm kidding.
But do you have any advice for someone who's starting out in photography and they kind of know how to work a camera, but they want to jump deeper into the business side of things?
Okay. I guess I would just advise, and I mean, this is probably very just practical and straightforward, but like just like researching your shit. Can I curse on here? You can bleep it out, right? Like, I would suggest getting around other photographers that do it professionally and just asking them. Like, I feel like a lot of times in the creative space, we get intimidated and people gatekeep and all the things. You don't want to ask. Like, we've had plenty of conversations. I've had plenty of conversations with other photographers who were way ahead of me that just like were kind enough to take the time to reply to a DM or have a cup of coffee or whatever. Like, just for me to ask questions and know like, hey, what do I need to know? What do I need to, in terms of like doing this, making a career out of this? How do I do this legally? Like, and then like also nowadays with technology, there are so many resources out there. Shameless plug to Unscripted app. That's an app for photographers. They have, and I'm sure there's more, but like they have invoicing, they have templates for contracts, you know, like things that you might need that you never worried about before when you were just like doing it for fun, just to like protect you and your business and also like look out for your clients too. So yeah.
Right. Unscripted. Was that the one you told me about? Okay.
Probably.
That also has
I'm
the
a big advocate. Yeah. It has like posing. It has podcasts in there. It has guides for like weddings, guides for even like clients who have no idea what to wear and what to prepare for. So it's like, and again, I'm sure there's other platforms like this, but there are so many resources is what I'm trying to get at.
Something else we talked about relatively recently was burnout, how to manage burnout. There's been a lot of times where I go through periods where there's a lot of work and I'm just so fried.
Yeah.
But you know, it's our passion. We love to do
it.
But what would you say to someone that is currently in a season of burnout and they just need a little gas to the flame?
A little gas. Honestly, as annoying as it might sound to someone who's like in the thick of it, is just like see it through. I think once you take photography or whatever your, you know, creative job is, to a professional level where now you're pumping out work, now you're, you know, having a tighter schedule.
It becomes a lot less.
It doesn't become as exciting sometimes.
It's obviously
you know
work. It's obviously like, it becomes a job.
Yeah. And now like you are maybe taking on shoots that you don't absolutely feel thrilled about because you need to pay bills. You know what I'm saying? Like it becomes less exciting in that sense. But I would say a couple of things that have helped me personally is one, even like just setting up a self-portrait session for myself. Because sometimes it's hard to like schedule with other people, which you can totally do. That's an option.
Yeah.
But just to like try something creative, something that there's no deadline on, there's no money on the table for. You're just, you know what I'm saying? Like you could just.
It alleviates that pressure.
It just alleviates the pressure from yourself. I feel like that helps me a lot. And then naturally, like just any other practical things that outside of, a creative funk or burnout you might do to help yourself, like going out for a walk, listening to music, or like just looking at things that you find inspiring for your creative juices. I feel like that helps me.
Yeah, and also be honest with yourself.
Sure.
If you don't want to turn this into a job,
Yeah.
you can keep it as a side hustle. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean,
okay, yes. Thank you for saying that.
As a creative, you don't have to just stick to one thing. You can reinvent yourself however many times you want, but it's always nice to have just photography in the back of your brain.
Can we bring back hobbies? Because I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
I haven't thought about that in a long time, but it's so true nowadays. And there's a side to it that I completely stand by and respect of like creating multiple streams of income and like utilizing your own talents and gifts to create income. But like at the same time, it's really okay just to have a hobby that brings nothing to you, but like maybe it just makes you feel better. And like it's something for you to look forward to outside of your 9 to 5 or whatever you're doing. You know what I mean? Like that is such a good point.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm glad you said that. That's a good reminder.
So in addition to being a photographer, you have one of, I would argue, the most difficult but rewarding jobs in the world as you're a mother.
I'm a mother.
You're a motherfucker.
Yes, I'm a mom. I have 2 kids.
2 kids. How the hell do you balance that?
I would be lying if I gave you like some, I don't know, straight up answer with like I'm still figuring out is what I'm trying to say. I think because it is a job for me now, it's like anything, right? Any working parent, you just try to figure out as you go and balance things out as best you can. And thankfully I have like my husband is really good in partnering with me in that. Like shout out to the single parents out there because I don't know how the hell you're doing it. But I feel like this job in particular is a tiny bit like sometimes like the burnout gets real because you have to be creative and you have to be like always on for people. And like, I don't know if I've fully mastered balancing it out. I think you just I don't know. I feel like once you become a parent, you just reach a new level of like just making shit happen and figuring it out along the way. And that's not like a very practical answer, but I feel I feel like you just figure it out and make things work however you can.
So circling back to photography.
Okay.
What is your strategy when going about planning a shoot with someone?
Okay. Well, it depends on the shoot. While I do mainly focus on like brand photography, I still take on like lifestyle shoots, so families, seniors, and things like that. So the strategy is really just initially connecting with that person, getting a really good feel like what is their vision, what do they want out of this? Because the more I know from them, the better I can execute that. So I'll send like a little questionnaire and I'll figure out like where we're at in that process. And sometimes they know exactly what they want. Sometimes I need to help with that.
Other times you gotta poke them with a stick a little bit and be like,
you really gotta pull. And sometimes
hey, fella, what are we doing?
Yeah, no, really. Like, and sometimes that means, okay, let's go beyond this questionnaire. Let's like have a conversation on the phone or FaceTime or even get a coffee. I've done that before. Yeah. If I'm really like, okay,
coffee's my number one favorite.
You know what I mean?
That's my go-to strategy if I want to reconnect or talk or just really get to
breaks the ice.
Yeah.
Too, because like you gotta meet this person, especially if they're a total stranger, like coming into like shooting days. A lot of times people are nervous and like feeling awkward in front of a camera and whatever, So anyway, so the strategies really just depend on the type of shoot it is. I'll speak a little bit just about the branding session just because that's what I made the majority of my work right now.
But starting off, creating that connection with the client.
So connection is
huge. So
they're
as comfortable as possible prior to the shoot.
Comfort is huge. That's like one of my main priorities and values. And then like, okay, now let's talk about the visual side. To get to that, I asked them like, how do you want your audience or your customers to feel like from these photos when they see it, when you plaster it on your website or whatnot, or on your social media? Based off of that, I start kind of collecting this information and like making a Pinterest board or a mood board on Canva and like kind of putting together ideas that I think they might like. And sometimes they already start that process because they're super excited. Mm-hmm. And so I just kind of merge the two or just like rely on whatever they really like what they have already. And And then, yeah, I mean, again, like it just depends on what they need. And then even within brand photography, you have all sorts of clients. So the strategy sometimes isn't exactly the same.
Something I really love about photography is it's not one
It's never
thing.
the same exact thing.
It's always a million things, and it's different every single day. And I love what I do.
Yeah, same. And I think you're really good at what you do.
I think you're really good at what you do.
So good at what you do.
But Ashley, I really appreciate you just being in my life, being a part of the team here at Labs. It's super dope just talking to you about random shit at Labs. Side note, I really like that every day you have like a different look. Like your hair is different. You have no, literally. She comes in and she has like a fucking like Vogue jacket, or the next day could be like high heel boot shits with polka dots. You pull it off each time. So
I really appreciate that. Thank you.
You
Chris.
have a very
You're too kind.
Just badass style. I don't know how to describe it.
Thanks. It's just like another creative outlet, I guess.
Ashley, do you have any final words to all of the creatives out there? Tying it all back to the Art is Alive podcast.
Yeah, I was just about to say, tune into Art is Alive podcast and grow your community and get out there and do your thing and don't get so burnt out, which is really hard to do. But
and stop comparing yourself to people on Instagram. There's only one you, motherfucker.
And not only is it highlights, but it's not like, it really isn't everything you think it is once you get on like in front of other people who you think are like, oh my gosh, they got it all together. They got, and then you like sit with them and you're like, oh, and not in a bad way. It's just like, oh, like I can do that too. Like it's really okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, just those are my words. Have fun. Tune into Art is Alive. Have conversations with this guy.
This fucking guy. And where can people find you? Should they want to connect?
Should they want to connect? The easiest way is Instagram. You can follow Maiso Media, MAISO MEDIA. I had to like think about that. Just follow me on Instagram. My website is linked on there too. And yeah, that's probably the best place to connect. Don't follow me on TikTok. Don't do that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Chris. Thanks for having me. This was wonderful.
Thank you. And I always have to nail the outro.
Okay. What's the outro?
I'm shy though. Art is alive.
Wait, did I mess it up?